Hi, Coach Shireen Ahmed, CBC Sports. There's been a lot of interesting media from Australian press leading up to this. How much of that have you and your players been able to put aside and just focus?
I don't know how much it has been because I haven't kept track of it. Obviously, I'm informed by Anne and company. I think this team have shown over the years that their sole focus is inside a circle and the football and what we can control. We know how this business works, that there's always going to be a lot of opinions, including in this room. And most likely when you lose a game as well, as I've said before, as a coach or a team, you're never better than your last game. So right now, I'll probably sit up here and it's not that best of a coach. We know that's how this business works. We try to control the controllables, which is preparing for the game tomorrow. We did an in-depth review after the Ireland game when we won. We did an in-depth review after the Nigeria game when we lost. We take a lot of learnings from game 1 and 2, moving into game 3.
Cool. Hi, Tony. Hi, Emily. Joey Lynch from ESPN. Question for you, Tony. You might not looking at the outside media, but you yourself, looking at this game coming in, you've talked about how you're only as good as your last game, but this game, it's a pretty big game in the context of the entire World Cup cycle. How do you feel coming into it? Are you cognizant that this is potentially a legacy-defining game for you as a coach, tenure-defining, history-making? How do you feel about that?
I think you're spot on. That's how this business works. I think it's a massive game in that sense, and we can't shy away from that. We've spoken a couple of times before about legacy and the why about this team. And, in long-term legacy, it's a different type of question. But if you talk sports and results, this game is massive, yes. I hope, hopefully in 10 or 20 years from now, that we can look at other parts of a legacy than just one game. But right now, we can't shy away from that. This is a crossroad moment for sure.
Tony, Adam Peacock from up here, Tony.
Oh, there.
With the hat.
Sorry.
Yeah. From Seven and Code, hello. With the 2 games that we've witnessed so far, and maybe taking the one down here against France as well, has your team been calm enough in the big moments for your liking?
I think if we look at the France game is a friendliness send-off game. I'm not sure if it's fair to comment that, but let's go for the 2 World Cup games. I think Ireland, when it comes to those big moments, for example, last 15 when we were under the gun, then said Quinn out one of the best aerial presence in the world. They got a lot of set plays. I think the team was extremely composed, and one of the things we looked at in the review in that game was that we stayed composed and focused and controlled that last 15 minutes, and with the help of the supporters as well that carries through, that was one of the pieces that we were mostly happy with. But we weren't that happy about the attacking game in that first game. If you look at the Nigeria game, I think the one moment that was mentally a really tough challenge for us was conceding a goal very, very late in the first half, and we could mentally have gotten a huge negative effect of that in the beginning of the second half. But I think the team came out really strong in the beginning of the second half. And then if you look when we conceded, especially that 3-1 goal, you could cave as a player if you're scared, but they didn't. We had a clear plan on how to go for a goal, and then we can discuss whether I should have done the sub earlier or not, because I think there's some opinions in here about that. But in terms of the players' reactions, how we handle pressure moments, I think they were brilliant in terms of scoring 3-2 and that never say die attitude. So mentally, I'm actually happy how the players have responded through different moments in the first 2 games.
Lindsay Hamilton, TSN. Tony, you alluded to the fact that you learn from each match. As a coach, what would you say was the biggest learning lesson for you in that match against Nigeria?
The positive was that we played much better attacking football than the first game. We moved the ball too slow against Nigeria. We didn't get into the final third in the box enough. The Nigeria game was actually the top game out of the last 15 with the numbers of shots and numbers of final third entries, thanks to a very good attacking game. And I know there might be some question marks in the room right now. What is he talking about? But it was. Stats is stats. But the conversion rate was not as efficient enough. Normally we would have scored 4 goals considering the amount of shots and chances we created. So the conversion rate was one we took away. And the other one was the defending that was so good against Ireland. We had a couple of moments in that game collectively and individually that cost us 3 goals. And considering the few chances they had, we should not have conceded 3 goals. And we've looked in depth into that and how we can improve that area moving into Canada.
Tony, hi. Tarek Panj from the New York Times. After the Nigeria game, you said on Sam Kerr that the decision will be made eve of, which is today, or day of, which is tomorrow. So just wondering if we get an update whether it's going to be today or tomorrow. Do you know what you're going to be doing tomorrow? And secondly, you mentioned this conversion rate. Obviously, you had all those shots, but they went all over the place, didn't go where they needed to go, and then the defending was a little bit calamitous for the Nigerian goal. Is that panic or stress or tension at the moment? What do you put that down to? Because there were a lot of chances and there were mistakes as well.
I think when it comes to the chances, we had 8 out of them on target. Compared to Canada, I think had 2 on target, so we still had enough on target, I think. You always play against the goalkeeper and defender as well. And then we talk about composure in that final third from the player on the ball as well. In terms of those individual mistakes or collective mistakes that we did, it was a lot connected to second balls against Nigeria, which was world class against Ireland. Second part of the question, which I think is probably going to be the biggest talking point tonight, is Sam Kerr's availability. I want to be clear here that we've been clear from first day that we knew she was going to miss the first 2 games and then be reassessed going into this game, and that was going to go down to the wire, which is a new expression for me that I learned yesterday. And we're going to have a meeting tonight with the medical team and Sam and discuss what the possibilities for her to play tomorrow, and then we're going to do some tests tomorrow to see what it looks like. And I want to be honest here as well. Everyone that's been included in sports and know about calf injuries, one thing is that you're available, but there's also risk when you come back from a muscle injury, and I think everyone here understands that. So we need to balance how many minutes is you available, what are the risks, if we manage to go through to the playoffs, playing time and so forth. So there's a lot on the table to discuss, and we probably won't know how exactly we're going to use that until we come here to the stadium tomorrow.
Tracy Holmes, ABC. My question's for Emily. Just following up from that, what would it mean to the team if Sam did make an appearance on the field? And I know that you have a particularly close relationship with her that goes back a fair way. But on top of that, what's it like to have to turn up to a media conference the night before when you've got other things that I'm sure you'd rather be thinking about and concentrating on than answering our questions?
Well, you said it. No. Look, on Sam, obviously, first and foremost, she's our captain. She's our leader. For her to be here, be part of this team, there's a huge amount of respect amongst the players and the staff. So that's the first and foremost. Secondly, she's a good friend of mine. We go back a long time, but again, she's the utmost professional athlete. Her success hasn't just come overnight. This isn't her first rodeo. She's been around, so she's been great around the team. She's been positive, and she's played that role particularly well. And yeah, like Tony said, at the end of the day, it's about the 23 players out there. It's going to take every single person for us tomorrow night. And yeah, the girls are full of positivity. We're confident. One thing this team is definitely not shy of is shying away from moments like tomorrow. So we're excited for the game. We're finally here in Melbourne and we can't wait.
Kieran Bender from The Guardian. Question for both Emily and Tony. This is a team that's famous for its never say die attitude, literally a documentary about that. But and so obviously this game is, do or die, must win and all of that. How much does that help the team? But I also wonder whether sort of the growth and maturity of this team needs it to move away from being in never say die, do or die moments, and not having its back against the wall and still being able to get results and control games.
I'll answer this one. The never say die attitude, that doesn't just come from this generation of players. That's been embedded in us from past generations and pioneers of the game that, some of us have been extremely lucky to play alongside of. It's a mentality piece, I think, that is embedded within this team, and it's something that we carry very close to our hearts, especially in moments like this. And I think the last 10 minutes of the Nigerian game, you saw that. You saw what we're about. I said it before, we don't shy away from these moments. It's tournament football now. International friendlies are out of the way, and we know exactly what's on the line tomorrow night.
You get Joe Lynch from ESPN. Tony, you've talked often throughout your tenure about how you want this team to be attacking, constantly going forward. And when we look at the permutations from the coming game, draw enough for Canada, realistically you need a win. That's magnified. At the same time, we've had Bev Priestman in here before, and she talked about how when sides are coming straight at the Canadians, that's often what brings the best out of them. And we've seen how good at that. It's how they won a gold medal, getting a penalty and then defending a lead in 2 games. How do you account for that and adjust in your tactical approach, given that the overarching circumstances of this game would generally seem to favour the Canadian strengths?
First of all, that's an extremely educated question, because that's exactly the difference. A game like this is, let's say it was opposite, that we won the group and they need to win, and both teams are really good at the transition and attacking game. The Canadians love to win the ball and go straight in behind oppositions. So spot on. It's something we need to be aware of, and if that's the game plan they come out with, we need to handle that in a good way, in different ways. Both that we need to be good enough on the ball to not get dispossessed in areas where they want to win it, because we know they're good in transition. 2, that we're good balance behind the ball so we can stop those transitions. But the other thing we did show, if some of you were at the game, the second game we played Canada here, not here, but when we played Canada, that second game, that first half, if you remember that, we played a really, really good half against them. We also showed that we can be a really, really good pressing team. So it might be 2 teams that like to press and win the ball, and then there'll be some moments in the middle of the park that the ones that come out with the ball in those duels, or second ball duels, is the one that's going to attack fast and forward. And hopefully that's us more often than Canada tomorrow.
Hi, Teo Pellizzeri representing Keep Up Australia. Coach, Alex Chidiac. What would it take for you to start Alex Chidiac, or if you were to use Alex Chidiac as a substitute, what would it take for you to deploy Alex Chidiac in a central role rather than a wide role? Thank you.
I'm surprised that you asked about Alex. Alex Chidiac is an amazing player, and probably some of you think I don't think so. I really do. That's why I selected her to the 23. She's shown time after time what she can do on the ball. She's a very, very good game changer for us. I'm a coach that is very honest to players and about the roles going into the tournament. And for Shids, it was very clear that she selected to be a very good, efficient game changer for us. And I've used her a little bit different than other coaches have used her. And when she goes and play on the right side, I don't expect her to play like a Hayley Raso or a Courtney Vine or someone else. If she plays on the right side, she should play like a pure 10 in an Alex Chidiac role. And the time she has played wide for us, if you see the amount of time she comes in central with the left foot and combine, her final passes, her shot from distance, and also her final passes and crosses that I think some people haven't really seen that she's capable of doing. I think we did see a result of that in the Nigeria game, but maybe, I said that in an interview earlier today, maybe I should have done a double sub and bring her and Pokes in at the same time, reviewing my in-game coaching in that sense. But the one thing I admire with Chids is that she's always ready no matter when she's asked upon, and she's proven time after time after time that she can deliver and be a very, very good game changer for us.
Question for Emily, Anna Harrington, AAP. You've been in this team a long time. You're in that group of players that's called a bit of a golden generation. You're at players like yourself, Sam, Caitlin, Steph, list goes on, the peak of your powers. Tony talks about this game being a crossroads. How big is it for you players in terms of it's, going through at a home World Cup or falling in the group stage? How big is it for you as a group, not just as a game, but the legacy this team is going to leave?
Yeah, it's a massive game for us. We all know exactly what's at stake, but at the end of the day, we as players, we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves. At the end of the day, it's just another game of football. And I think the uniqueness and the characters of this team, that's exactly how they'll be thinking about it. So come tomorrow, when the game starts, you'll see a lot of passion, you'll see a lot of heart. You'll see the want to win tomorrow within this Matildas team because, like your mate a couple of seats next you touched on before, that's our never say die attitude.
Hey, Emily. Claire Hanna with TSN. And just to follow up on that, you say you don't want to put too much pressure on yourselves. As you have conversations with your teammates in the next 24 hours, how do you manage the stress and the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of being in professional sports. I mean, there's obviously a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stressful times, but I think pressure's a privilege. It's a home World Cup for us. We know exactly what's at stake. Like I said before, we definitely don't shy away from these moments. You know, I think back to 2019 in France, in Montpellier, we played against Brazil. We were kind of in a similar situation and we came out on top. And I've got the full belief of not only the 23 players that we have here, but the whole entire staff that has been on this journey with us.
Are the feelings similar going as that big game against Brazil?
You could probably say they're similar, but at the end of the day, we're playing here at home. We've also got an advantage with our home crowd, with the Australian fans who have been unbelievable. So I encourage all of them to come out because we're going to need them again tomorrow night, and I think it's going to be an exciting game.
Hi, Tony and Emily. Laura Spurway from Channel 7. Have you got a wet weather plan, first of all? It's a little bit damp here. I guess my question is, you say you're open with your players. Have you communicated with them what the forward structure will look like tomorrow night? Because obviously the team needs to know what roles they're going to play. But if you're saying it's coming down to the wire with Sam Kerr, I assume that someone like Emily, for example, has been talked to about what role she might play or how that forward structure is going to work if she's there or not.
Again, a very, very good question. And that's, again, credit to these players. They've been amazing. When we went into that game when it was Sam getting injured in match day -1 in that first game, when I sat in the press conference, though, I wasn't 100% certain if she was going to be available. We had a meeting at 9:30 that night. So what we did before I went to the press conference, we had a meeting and we looked at 2 different lineups. And we were very honest about it, looked at it. If she plays, this is what it looks like. If it doesn't play, this is what it looks like. We've done exactly the same thing going into this game. Every player knows exactly what we prepped for that. If Sam's on the park, this is what it looks like. If she's not on the park, this is what it looks like. The players that are potential plans for starting or being a finish lineup, because like I said before, it's not just about a starting lineup, it's about the finishing lineup as well, have also been informed. So today, for example, we worked on some set plays routines. We had multiple players involved to say, hey, if you're on the park, this is what it looks like. If you're on the park, this is what it looks like. And you need to plan for all those scenarios. And again, I credit these players. I love working with these players because how professional they are in preparation, and there's no prestige whatsoever. Just think about it yourself. Like sitting here as a player, the only thing you want to do is start. Every single player want to start, and then be out in a training field and you train and you're not certain whether you're going to start or not. You can see frustration or anger or sadness in some players, but this group, no. They're all true professionals, and it's such a privilege to work with this group of players in that sense.
Hi, Tony. Vince Rigo from the Sydney Morning Herald. What do you define as success for this team at this tournament? And is it failure if you don't get out of the group?
This is going to be a long press conference because that's a massive question. First, we can discuss what is success, but that's for another day. I'm really happy to take a coffee and discuss that with you because I would love to talk about that. I'm passionate about that, the define of success. I definitely think it's fair to say it's a failure if you don't go out of the group. You know, I mean, everyone here understands that. Of course, we want to go out of the group in a home World Cup for sure. And I'm the first to admit that I'll take ownership for that. But that's not where we're our mindset right now. Our mindset is just about playing the game in front of us. Like Evie said, the only thing we focus on right now is what we can control, and that's our performance against Canada tomorrow. That's all we focus on right now. And then take one moment at a time out there. Whether it's that PK or whether it's that corner, whether it's that tackle, that pass, just live in that one moment together with the fans and embrace every single moment of it because it's a privilege to go out there tomorrow and we need to embrace that.
Tony, can we just get an update on Mary Fowler and Kaya Simon, whether they're ready for tomorrow night? And also just on Sam, whose call will it ultimately be? Will it be yours? Will it be Sam's? Will it be the medical team's decision?
Starting with Sam, all decisions made from medical purposes is the medical team together with the athlete. And as a coach, you need to follow those guidelines and respect the integrity and the decision making of a player in a medical team. So it's definitely there. Then let's say for an example, I used Tamika Jallup as an example because that was the same thing. First of all, I can't say too much about things because it's legal and medical that should talk about things like that. But what I will be given as a coach is to say this player has about 15 to 30 minutes in her. More than that could be a big injury risk. How I then choose to play those 15 or 30 minutes with Tamika Jallup in one of the games is up to me to decide within that sport decision, so to speak. But it's medical and athlete when it comes to risks. Sorry, I got stuck there. Second part of the question. Mary Fowler, yeah. I think we sent out a press release earlier about Ivy and Mary. Ivy is unfortunately not available for tomorrow. Mary trained fully today, so as of the training today she was available, but we need to reassess tonight to see how she feels, and then it's the medical that makes the clearance because it's the head injury. It's the protocol they need to follow, so they are the one that gives me the okay or not tonight. And obviously I hope it's a thumbs up. You should have seen her in the finishing yesterday, by the way. Oh my God, her finishing is just one of a kind. Like the way she strikes the ball with the left and right foot, it was, amazing to see. So I hope she's available. And Kaya Simon is still on that individual plan. We knew when I selected her, and I know that probably a lot of opinions in here about that as well. But we knew when we selected Kaya that most likely she won't be available for many minutes until the potential playoffs. And also those minutes would be limited. She is on an individual training plan still. And hopefully with a good performance tomorrow and hopefully with going into the playoffs, she can be an option for us moving forward, not just with minutes to play, but also coming off and take a PK.
Amanda Shalala, ABC Sport. Emily, after getting that opportunity in the game against Nigeria, scoring, and now having another chance to run out there tomorrow night, what does it mean to you to get to play for this team in front of this home crowd in a World Cup?
Yeah, it's an absolute honour every single time you're called upon to represent your country. Once in a lifetime opportunity, obviously, here being a home World Cup, to play in front of your friends, your family, and the Australian public. So for me, huge honour and something that I'm extremely grateful for.
Last question now.
Hey guys, Elise Loraya from Vavel Media. I just want to follow up on that. You got the Weight of a Nation on you guys tomorrow. Would you say it's the biggest game so far for Australia?
Oh, definitely one of them. Looking at the magnitude of the game, I'm sure that the fans in the stands are going to be very, very loud and proud tomorrow. And I'm 100% certain that the players are going to give it all tomorrow. These are the occasion they love. I love it. And we can't wait till tomorrow. Like two players said to me in the Buster training today, I wish the game was today. They just want to get out there and play. That's all they want to do. And if you would be okay, I would like to come back to that question about EVE and also say how happy I am for her sake with the performance she had the other night. And there's no coincidence. If you knew what she's gone through in terms of injury to come back to where she's at, and also what she's gone through, as you all know, she's been a clear starter in this team for years. And then she's had spent some time on the bench, and she can sit here and complain about that and say, I'm pissed that I didn't play more and this is shit and all that. But the professionalism that she have shown and being the best teammate you can ever imagine, and then how professional she's been coming back from that injury and the form she's shown in training, she deserved that shot to start that game, and there's no coincidence that she scored as well. So I'm really happy for Evie that she got the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay.